when you're thinking about the strategy and which way you're going to go with your omnichannel is to look at how do you really maximize the value? Which are the products that you really want to test first?
Welcome back to Series 2 of In Conversation with CloudSense, brought to you by myself, Alex Mason, Product Marketing Manager, and also our guest speaker, Vish Kumar, VP of Product here at CloudSense. Now, Vish, the people have spoken. We have returned for a Series 2, allegedly the number one podcast in the world, but that's not my words. How are things going? How are you?
Thanks, Alex. I'm good. How are you?
I am doing very well. Thank you for asking. So, in this new mini-series, our broader topic we'll be covering will be omnichannel and omnichannel strategy. And in this episode, we will be talking about it at more of a high level, discussing the importance of omnichannel, why it is so hard to achieve, how to best implement an omnichannel strategy, and some of the benefits of an omnichannel experience. Now, I'm going to stop talking, Vish. I'm going to hand over to you. In your words, what is omnichannel and how can we best implement it, and how can businesses really benefit from this omnichannel strategy?
Sure. Thanks. So omnichannel is a really interesting topic. We've had it come up over the years multiple times. And I think talking to a lot of customers about it, it's also something that's aspirational, but has always been really difficult to try and ascertain within their businesses. Talking to customers and understanding what do customers really want to get to, they're trying to really get to a place where there's visibility without having to repeat themselves. And that's kind of where you get to the omni, where it's one place. What's the biggest things that we're seeing today is effectively customers want to be able to seamlessly be able to switch between the channels they're working with. Customers are really looking for that one place where they can work with and know that everyone knows what they're talking about. And especially when they're purchasing something or even when they're servicing at that time, they want to know that they don't have to continually repeat themselves or try and re-explain things. And what an omnichannel experience does is it gives them that flexibility. From a business point of view, it allows them to really transform the way they do business, simplify the way they do business, but also allows their staff and their business teams to work together in a cleaner way, but provide a service to the customer knowing they can see everything in the one spot. And it's quite interesting now that we're looking at different technologies and it kind of spans across different ways on how things work. So we look at the communication channels with voice, you look at SMSs and emails, social medias, chatbots, all of those single platform things that we're trying to really work together with CRMs and other platforms to make sure that we have a single view of the customer. But when it comes down to the purchasing on the servicing side, it does become a lot harder, and a lot of businesses do struggle with that piece a lot. Now, to make this all work, generally there's a whole load of things that we talk about with APIs and those things, but we'll touch on those probably a bit later. But effectively, what we really want to do is with an omni-channel side is to really make it a single place where we can work through or provide a view of a single order or a single car or even a single service opportunity to work right across the company that you're servicing, but then also for your customer to be able to access at any given time. So what's the important part? So why are businesses really talking to us about it and why is it so important to them? The key thing is around the customer engagement. When we talk to a lot of companies about why do you really want to get to this omni-channel side of things, it's the engagement of the customer. So everyone's living these busy lives where they will start something somewhere, but they want to be able to pick it up from somewhere else without having to restart the whole process. And omnichannel allows that to happen. So whether you're starting on your computer and you could be looking for a new pair of jeans and then picking up the app, and then all of a sudden you can see the app or halfway through that order or that cart's already there, I can then finish it there. Or in some cases, they haven't got your color or they haven't got these things, and you can engage with the chatbot and all of a sudden you're now working together to get to that outcome that you need to. And it's really, really important when engaging with your customers that you can actually see the same things, because those conversations become far more meaningful and the frustration doesn't come out from both ends to try and work out what is it exactly you want, because I can't see your card or I can't see what you're trying to get to. The other is the one thing that we do talk to a lot of companies about, especially in the telco space, and that's around the operating costs. Today, Telcos have implemented multiple different stacks, and now the struggle for the digital world becomes a race. Everyone's going to have it, especially in the B2B space where we're seeing that, okay, now we've got it. We need a B2B commerce, but we need it to kind of work with the complexities we have. Omnichannel now becomes this utopia that is in reach. And the benefits of it, it means that now we can actually work with customers in a hybrid manner really quickly. And the cost of actually servicing that customer gets smaller and smaller because it means the customer can do what they want to do when they need to, but also that agent that's supporting them can actually be from wherever they are, whether they're across the world or whether they are in a different state or territory, wherever they are, they can work together in that in a very clean and simple way, but providing the customer full context and the agent can see full context as well in a very simplified, unified journey, which means that both sides can see it really quickly and easily. So the costs then come down in terms of having to maintain 2 or 3 different environments with different sets of rules and overhead costs of testing them all because they're in different ways, built in different ways and supporting different mechanisms. But the other is around simplicity for your business. When you're looking at an omnichannel side of things, it doesn't mean that the experience that you have online or in the app or from the agent has to be exactly the same, but it does mean there has to be some sort of connection between them in terms of relativeness that makes things kind of work together. And that's really, really important in terms of how do we think about those journeys. And what we find when we talk to customers about omnichannel, it means that we take all 3 or 4 or 5 channels into context really quickly when we're designing products, designing journeys, and we're really thinking about the customer day one as opposed to individual channels. And that makes the whole ecosystem and the whole process far more simpler. And these are the key things that we work with customers to make sure they think about and how it really helps their business as they go forward. But the hard part, I guess, comes into the strategy and what are some of the things that we need to think about when we build out that strategy, especially implementing the omnichannel. Omnichannel is great because it doesn't really mean that you have to do a full big bang approach. It means that we can look at it product by product, focus on things in a journey manner, and making sure that we support, especially those high volume products is probably the first place we recommend we start, because that allows us to remove a lot of the complexity, but then also reduce some of those overhead and operating costs that we talked about. And at the same time, we really can engage with customers in a different way and see how quickly they can transact with us in a different way using multiple modals or different channels. But we also need to be clear at when we're looking at an omnichannel, we understand the demand of the customer. So depending on where you are and how you operate, it's really important that you understand what is the experience that your customer wants. How they interact with you over a mobile app is very different to how they do online and also different from when they're dealing with an agent. And then it's also about how you service your customers. How quickly and how easily do you want them to interact with you in all of your channels and provide them the relative data that's available any given time? If you get it right, it means that you can generate the right strategy, which will help you shift your NPS. So if you're focusing around increasing that experience, it's about making sure that we create that experience that is universal across any channel. And that NPS should be reflective across each channel that particular customer interacts with you on. What do we really want to get from this? So an omnichannel, whilst it's a really, really interesting thing and it's a really big buzzword right now, we have to be very clear on the strategy to make sure that what we're working on, we're actually extracting the right value from it. So if that's about making sure that our customers can interact with us at any point in time from anywhere they want, from any mode they want, then that's great. But we need to focus on that experience and making sure that we keep it as simple as possible. If they're interacting with you via an app, you don't really want them to have 150 clicks. Whereas if they're online, you may get away with slightly more, but you can't have a lot more. And when they're working with your agent, again, you also want them to have the ability to tailor it slightly further than what they would have in the other channels. And it's about understanding those trade-offs, but ensuring that what we do in each of these channels, we ensure that we really get the full view that we need. And then everything you do, you need to ensure that you're validating it. So if we're looking at omnichannel and we want to look at, for example, an omni cart functionality. So if a customer is going through their online journey in their app and they're going through it and they've realized that, hang on a minute, I don't really like this, or I want to know more and I want to talk to an agent. When they do interact with a actual human or an agent, that agent pulls back that cart, has a look at what the customer has, and then starts working through it. What is that experience you really want to provide that customer? What are the extra features you really want to provide the agent to make sure they either close the deal or provide the best experience for your customers? And really validating what are those really key touch points and what are those touch points you want to move left and right so you provide those experiences perfectly to the customer at the right point in time. And it's really important when you're thinking about the strategy and which way you're going to go with your omni-channel is to look at how do you really maximize the value? Which are the products that you really want to test first? And then how quickly are you going to be able to move on those key findings when you find them? Now, when you do get it all right, what does it mean for your business? What it does mean is your customer experience becomes second to none. When we look at some of the big brands out there, when you think of the food outlets and you think of potentially, some of the accommodations and even some of those big retail brands that have online shops, they have apps, and they also have stores. The omnichannel experience allows you to be prepared before you go into that retail outlet. So whether that's ordering food before you walk into your favorite fast food joint, you've preloaded everything into your cart, and then you just log into that self-service terminal, type in your code or your username and password, and your cart already appears with all the customizations and configurations you want, and you just want to pay with your physical card. That's a true omni-channel experience that you've just done in your day-to-day life. So in the car, you've configured what you wanted, you've walked into the store, you've basically seen the cart that you pre-configured, and you've just paid for it. All you're doing there now is waiting for that to come through, as opposed to the experience of walking into the store and spending maybe 10, 15 minutes at that screen trying to configure all the different configurations you want for your particular burger or whether it's your sandwich, and then having to wait for it all to be ready. Now, that's an experience an individual may want. It's very different to the next, and it's going to be different to the next. But it's an opportunity for you to actually provide that experience to your customers and allow them to have that flexibility, which means they probably do want to come back for more. For your business, it also creates a different experience change. Your staff are now working with customers that are anticipating their next needs themselves. You're able to see trends and also track trends in different ways because you're not always front and center with the customer. You're seeing them in different channels operate with the same catalog, but then with different baskets and also working through different modes and how they interact with you at different times of days. You'll see a new set of data that you can now work with your analytics team to understand what works and how things work. Your staff as well can also interact with customers in different ways where they're not caught up in complex things. They can serve things right now and then allow them to go away and complete things because that omni-channel follows and finds them really quickly and really easily. The satisfaction side of things goes both ways. And this is one that I've spoken to quite a few customers about. And it's understanding that, okay, omnichannel is an interesting space. It allows us to have this universal view and support these functionalities. But what we do find is when you do have omnichannel and it is working well, the satisfaction from your customers increase because it means that they can pre-configure things and play with things and work with things really, really quickly and easily. But then when they interact with your team, they can actually interact really quickly and easily as well without having to repeat themselves or having to track down things and reconfigure things over the phone. So the time to support your customers drops, but then the satisfaction of your customers and the interactions with your customers increases and they want to do business with you more often. But they also understand what they can and can't do with you a lot quicker, which also helps around that omnichannel experience. Aside from that, it's also the general satisfaction of your brand as a company, depending on what you do and how you operate, especially in the telco space and the B2B space. The omnichannel side of things becomes extremely important when customers have different configurations that they want to learn and test with. But it also means that those interactions to try and get that sale closed really quickly is extremely important. Now, some of those use cases are slightly different to what you would see in the consumer world, but the overall experience and what the expectations are not too different, where they want to be able to see a cart that you see. They want to be able to make sure that what they're seeing and how they're operating with things is exactly the same way as you working with them. But they also want to make sure that you can see how they've got to where they've got to and what are certain things that they want to be working with going forward. Now, we've covered quite a few things around Omnichannel and the strategy and the different things, but probably the biggest thing that we need to really make sure that we focus on is ensuring that when you do design your strategy for Omnichannel and you go to implement it, the only thing I can really make sure that we focus on is ensuring that we validate it and we test it as much as we can to ensure that, one, our customers are seeing it, using it and feeling it and providing feedback as quickly as possible. But every channel, we actually measure the adoption of each, ensure that we're really focusing on the engagement to ensure customers are getting the best experience possible with regards to Omnichannel. And in turn, that'll make sure your business thrives, your performance increases, and I'm sure we'll see the satisfaction of your staff increase as well. That's all I have, I guess, Alex, in regards to Omnichannel.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Vish. That was great insight as always. Love the fast food reference. It's made me extremely hungry. But nonetheless, we'll wrap up today's episode and we will welcome you back very shortly to episode 2 coming soon. Cheers, guys.